Here's a quick video on how you can create a lower third animation in Premiere Pro. It's very easy and fun to do. So, without much further ado, let's get started with the video. To create a lower third animation, we are going to be needing three elements. The first element is the text graphics. Then, we need a line graphics and the background graphics. The first element I'll be adding is the text graphics. So I'll select my text tool, then click somewhere around here and I'll add in a lower third. You can stylize the text anyhow you want, but make sure that it's aligned at the center. After adding these, we are going to select the same text layer again. With the rectangle tool selected, I'm going to add in the background graphics. Selecting the graphics layer, I'm going to place it below the text layer. And then for the color, I'm going to change this to a different color like yellow, but you can stylize this however you want. And for my text, I'm going to give it a black color. And finally, I'm going to add in the line graphics, and all of these elements are on top of the same text layer. Selecting my pen tool here, I'm going to create a line starting from here, then holding shift to have a straight line. I'm going to click here. Same thing under the essential graphics, I'm going to locate the fill. For that, I don't need a fill, I just need a stroke. And for the stroke width, I'm going to set it to about 20. I'm done adding all of the graphics, but before we start animating them, we need to position all of these graphics inside separate groups so that when I want to animate the graphics, just a particular graphics will be animated at a particular time. So to add this into its own group, I'm just going to select this layer here, which I know is a line graphics. Click on this icon, which will position it inside its own group, and I can give it the name line. And for this, which is a text, I'm going to click here and I'll give it the name. Same thing with this other layer. The two effects that I'm going to be using is a transform effect and the crop effect. So I'm going to go under the effects panel, then I'll search transform. Double click to add it to the graphics, and then I'm going to search crop. Double click to add it to the graphics too. Now, under the essential graphics, you will find the two effects, that is the crop and the transform. So starting with this crop effect that I've selected, I'm just going to resize it. For the transform effect, I'm going to select it. Then under the effects control, I'm going to make sure that I uncheck use compositions shutter angle. And for the shutter angle, I'm going to set it to 360. This will blur out the animation. After I'm done customizing the effects, I'm just going to select the two effects. Copy it by coding the command C, and I'm going to paste these effects inside all of the groups, starting with the line graphics. And make sure that the crop effect is at the top, followed by the transform effect. For the first animation, I'll be animating this line, so I'm going to open its own group, select the transform effect, then under the effects controls, and I'll make sure that my playhead is at the very start. I'm going to set in the first keyframe for the position. Hold the shift key, then press the right arrow key 3 times to move ahead. Set in the second keyframe. And for this second keyframe, I'm just going to move this line graphics out of scene like so. For the first keyframe, I'm going to move it downward like so. Right click on the first keyframe, then ease out the keyframe. And for this other keyframe, I'm going to ease it in, so that it will make the animation to be smooth. Next, I'll be animating the background graphics. So I'll open the background graphics group, select the transform effect for that, then make sure that I'm inside the effects controls panel, press the right arrow key 2 times to move ahead, set in the first keyframe for the position, hold the shift key and move 3 times ahead, and set in the second keyframe. I'm back to the first keyframe. I'm just going to move this downward like so. Same thing, I'm going to make the animation to be smooth by easing out the first keyframe and easing in the second keyframe. Last but not the least, I'm going to animate the text graphics. Still under the effects controls, I'm going to press the right arrow key twice. Go under the essential graphics, open the text group, select its own transform effect. Under the effects control, I'm going to set in the first keyframe for the position. While holding shift, I'm going to press the right arrow key 3 times. Set in the second keyframe. And for the first keyframe, I'm going to move this below. Make the animation to be smooth by easing out the first keyframe and then ease in the second keyframe. You have an animation like this. After using the lower third animation at the end, you will need to move this out of scene. So we are going to be using another transform effect to do that. So I'll go back to the effects panel and search the transform effect. I'll add it to the graphics layer again. Move back to the essential graphics, and you'll notice that it's on top of all of these groups. So this will take effect on all of these groups. Selecting the transform effect, I'm going to move to the effects control, set in the first keyframe for the position. I better make sure that my playhead is at the end of my graphics here. So I'm going to set in the first keyframe for that. Hold the shift key and press the left arrow key twice. Set in the second keyframe. Moving back to this other keyframe, I'm going to slide this to the left and I'll make sure that the animation is smooth by easing out this first keyframe and then I'll ease in the second keyframe. After that, I'm going to blur out the animation by unchecking the use composition shutter angle and setting the shutter angle to 360. And that, my friend, is how you can create a lower third animation in Premiere Pro. Keep practicing day after day and go through all of the Premiere Pro features, and you'll see that you keep improving on your editing skills in Premiere Pro. Hope you found the video useful and interesting. Do implement what you've learned in the video and leave your feedback down in the comment section below, and I'll be there to always read your comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and like the video to support the channel grow. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, keep editing.